All right, welcome to another episode of We All Speak in Poems. Today we're very happy to have Patrik Berg Almkvisth on the podcast today. He composes under multiple aliases, including LUCHS, Silver Maple, and They Dream by Day. And he's also a voice actor with prominent roles for clients such as Netflix, Marvel, Disney, and more. And it's crazy. Every time I look into you and your music, I get blown away by more and more facts. Like, I only just learned that you were an actor, and it's really amazing to see what you're doing, like, and how much you're doing. It's just awesome, you know?
Yeah, nice. Thank you.
Absolutely. So how are you? What have you been working on lately?
I'm good. I'm a bit tired right now in my voice because I've been multi-tracking choir all day.
Oh, wow.
We were talking the other day about like working with other musicians, and we were talking about recording choirs.
Mm-hmm.
I actually come from a choral background.
Wow.
So I've been singing a lot in choirs. And yeah, I'm here in my production room and I don't have a choir here and I can't afford a choir right now. So, and I have some choral arrangements that I want to try out. So I've been recording choir all day, moving around in this tiny little space, recording the bass, moving a couple of steps, recording the tenors, moving a couple of steps, record the altos. That's pretty much how far I got today.
Wow.
So when you're recording for a choir, it actually matters where you stand in the room? Like your mic stays in one place and then you move around the room?
Yeah, there are like different techniques for doing that. Also when recording orchestra, if you have a smaller section, that's one way to do it. You can have the mics like stationary and then you move the musicians around.
Oh wow, I didn't know that.
To get that, because otherwise I did that mistake actually on Solskur.
Oh, really?
When recording Solskur, I first recorded a string quartet, just multiple takes, and then layering them, but didn't sound good.
Oh,
because that's usually the way I do it. Yeah.
Yeah, but at some extent you can like use pan them, and put a lot of reverb and stuff like that. But I wasn't really satisfied. So actually I did it again. And I hired the Gothenburg Symphony Orchestra the second time. So I had like a big string section like all at once. That was better results.
Yeah, it sounds like a dream. Oh man.
Yeah, it was.
I wish I could get my hands on an actual symphony or even just a chamber orchestra. I think that'd be sweet. But as of recording this, you're in the process of coming out with the new EP under LUCHS. The single that we've heard, I think there's a single coming out tomorrow. I guess when this is released, it'll already be out. But it sounds amazing. How's it been writing for that?
It's actually this EP stems from getting a new piano.
Oh, cool.
In like June, I got this new piano. It's behind me here. I've had a lot of pianos, and I've had a lot of like good sounding pianos with charm and with soul, but I've actually never owned a really good instrument, like a well crafted instrument. So and I thought I should have a really good piano considering what I do for a living.
Yeah.
So I went around and tried out a lot of different pianos. I was at Yamaha, at Kawai, at Petrov, and then I went to Steinway. They have a showroom here in Stockholm.
Yeah.
So I went there and I tried out a couple of their instruments, and I was pretty much blown away.
Yeah.
By that experience. It was so much better than like the runner-up, the second best. So I initiated a conversation with them, and they were very kind. And I came back and tried out a couple of more instruments, and I actually received a discount from them.
Nice.
To buy this. It's a Steinway K132. It's an upright piano, but it's pretty much as close to the sound of a grand piano
Oh, wow.
as you can get without actually having a grand piano. I can't fit a grand piano in here. It would just be a piano, the entire room. So it's an upright piano, K132, and it sounds wonderful.
Yeah.
And I'm so happy that I made that decision to like stretch myself maybe a little bit too much economically, but it's giving so much in return.
That's amazing.
Yeah. So actually, after getting that, it was like this flow of inspiration, and all of these songs that will come out on the EP is written in the period after getting this piano. So
amazing.
they're all written on this piano. And Bråddjup, the first single, it's the first released track that's recorded on this piano.
I love that. I love that so much.
So it's in a way it's a Steinway project. And I'm
Nice.
also gonna do a bit of like collab with them.
Oh,
in their
wow.
channels.
Nice.
Wow.
Yeah, best of both worlds there.
Yes,
very lucky
it
to do
really
that.
is.
I feel like we're in kind of the same position. Although I didn't get a Steinway, I did also just get a new piano.
Oh, nice.
And yeah, like you're saying, it's just so inspiring just to get a new piano and just play just a slightly different sound. And like you can do patterns and stuff that are the same as before, but just sound so much richer and more just, yeah. It's funny. I was about to actually get a baby grand
Yeah.
because we found one pretty cheap.
Would have taken up our whole dining room.
Yeah, we were speaking about selling our dining table and just having it as the room, but ultimately
Priorities, man.
Yeah.
Or play the piano.
exactly. Yeah, ultimately went with the upright just because it's easier. But it sounds great, and I love it. I love that whole idea of shaping a whole EP and project around exploring the new piano, new instrument.
Yeah.
I love that. So it's coming out on 1631, right?
Yes.
How has it been working with them? Because they're legendary at this point. I've dreamed about having a release with them. But has it been like a good, working environment so far with them?
Yeah, I really think so, especially around this type of material, like piano-based, scaled down, intimate tracks. It's been very smooth, actually.
Amazing.
And the contact with David has been also very smooth, and he's a really nice guy. And also to be able to have like an ongoing conversation with your label to get like quick responses and being able to express your ideas and get feedback on them. That's really important, because I've been on bigger labels as well, and the process is usually, it takes a lot of time.
Yeah.
To
a lot of logistics.
Do anything. But this has been pleasant in the way that it's been really smooth, and the response rate is really quick, and I really appreciate that.
I love that. Yeah, and I guess it's coming from. So David Wengren is a pianist, and he released music under library tapes for a long time. So it must be a nice peace of mind knowing that the sort of label owner is also a musician in this type of music and all that.
Yeah,
that's something that I've always loved about them.
Absolutely.
I love that. But so I think we'd like to start like going back from the very start and slowly go through your history, sort of get a timeline of you and your music and your acting career and everything. We read that your dad was a pianist in a church as you were growing up. Was the piano sort of the first instrument that you took interest in?
No, actually, it was the violin.
Oh, wow. Okay.
When I was 5 years old, I started playing the violin, and I kept playing until I was like 10 or 11. So 5 or 6 years I played the violin.
Oh, wow.
Oh, wow.
Like Suzuki method. So it was like no actual like score reading, no sheet music, just using your ears. That's pretty much
Oh, wow. I love that.
That method in short.
What made you stop?
I started playing the piano.
Oh,
okay.
So I had like another outlet for making music, and the piano is so much more versatile. When it comes to creating music. It's the best foundation to have. I think. I mean, I'm a pianist, so I can't say anything else. But you got like this. You got a much better overview.
Yeah.
Than just play like a melody instrument.
Yeah.
Like the violin. But I still do play violin on my recordings sometimes. Just like I'm trying to multi-track choirs here. I do play. I have my grandfather's violin here, and a viola, and also a cello, and an upright.
Oh wow!
So I have an entire string section. So I go about the same way there. I move around the chair in the room, and then I play the different parts.
That's so cool.
That's amazing. You've got like everything that I wish I had. I've been waiting to get a cello for like so long, and I still haven't done it. But the Suzuki method, I've never heard of that. I always thought, like, I guess the most typical way of growing up learning music is you learn to read sheet music and stuff. But yeah, they encourage like learning by ear and just playing what you hear and stuff.
Yeah,
that's amazing.
That's kind of what you do with drums, though.
Yeah,
and that's how you grew up playing drums. I feel like was just listening to the music and then playing.
Yeah, I just never heard of the term Suzuki method. I think that's really, really cool and really interesting.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Amazing.
So it was more about like finding it's a different like entry to the music. I think it's part of the philosophy to make it easier and to make it more like inspiring.
Yeah.
Is that how you started playing piano as well, or did you start piano with sheet music?
Piano was more. Nah, I mean we've always had a piano at home, because both of my parents are musicians. My dad is a composer and a pianist, and he's also a music theory teacher.
Oh wow!
And my mom was a singer.
Wow.
And a vocal coach.
It must be so nice growing up in that sort of environment. It must have been so. I would assume it was very encouraging.
Yeah.
And you know, and supportive.
Yeah.
I love that.
Yeah.
Wow.
Supportive, and also, I mean, I do have them to thank for, I mean, pretty much everything. But I mean, there are like movies, home movies from when me and my sister were children, and me trying to play the trombone, and we had like sessions almost every night where Dad was sitting at the piano and I was running around with my violin or just blowing in Dad's trombone, and my sister was singing. It was mayhem. But
so
I mean,
cool.
that's what's shaped me, I guess, part of it, at least. And I mean, then we've been around like the Von Trapps in Sound of Music. Familiar with that?
No, I'm not.
No.
Okay. We've been around and singing and playing music in churches, and that's been my upbringing pretty much.
That's amazing.
I feel like that's such a beautiful environment to grow up in.
Yeah.
Like so inspiring and.
That's seriously. Just I mean, even having, like you said, your dad is a pianist and your mom's a vocalist and all this, like being able to grow up with the vocabulary of music, I think is so important, and something that I mean, I didn't take any interest in music until, close to high school.
Yeah.
But I wish that I maybe took all that stuff seriously. knowing
you
what
are
I do
now.
now. Yeah, exactly. I'm going back in time for it. So was there a specific point in time when you started composing music instead of playing what was already written? Or were you kind of always just dabbling in it?
As far as I can remember, I've always, since we always had a piano at home, I have always been writing music in a way, just sitting down at the piano and to start to play. And that's always been, I mean, I've been studying music for many years, and I've never been that, I haven't been like super focused when it comes to rehearsing, you know, sitting down at the piano, and just rehearse scales. And I've always been more like lust driven. I think that's what made me get into composing more than maybe the concert pianist way, because I do have a little hard time focusing on that level. But I mean, I talked to someone about this. I don't remember exactly who it was, and I said that I'm not I'm not that good at rehearsing. I mostly just sit down at the piano and play. And he was like, but what is it that you're doing then when you're sitting down playing? What do you call that? That's also, a way of rehearsing and practicing.
Yeah.
That's also a way of practicing, even if it's not like focused on a particular task.
Yeah.
That's the way I've always looked at it too. Like I started as a drummer, and so I'd play songs, and I would never practice my rudiments or anything. And I just assumed the more I play, the better I'll get at them automatically. Sure, it might take a little bit longer because I'm not as disciplined, but I'll have fun doing it and not be bored, playing paradiddles constantly. But I love that. It seems like
I didn't actually answer your question.
Oh.
I think how I got into composing.
Yeah.
I think I've pretty much always been doing it, but it was the acting actually that made me start composing professionally.
Oh, okay.
'Cause I studied music for my entire life, and I went to the Royal College of Music here in Stockholm, and I actually dropped off.
Yeah, I wanted to ask what happened there, but we'll get to that.
Yeah. And then I started studying acting instead. And when studying acting, I was in plays, and I was in short films and stuff like that as an actor, and often in this like free group, or putting up a show without a large budget. And so the director realizes that we need music for this, and I was like, I can try. I play, and then I started like writing music for the plays that I was in as an actor.
Wow.
And I realized that this is a great way to get into the story, and it's a great way to work on my character, to get to know my character even better. So that became like part of the process of getting into the story. And then the directors started or got away doing other productions, and they got back to me asking if I could make music for their next play and their next play, and then it like branched out from there.
Wow. Yeah, so it just sort of happened. I love that. I love that.
I thought you were just a voice actor as well. So you actually started out like live acting?
Yeah.
Like with plays in theater?
Yeah.
That's very cool.
And I still do, but I mainly focus on the voice acting right now.
Oh, wow. So getting into school, you studied for a bit at the Royal College of Music, like you just mentioned, and then withdrew. So what happened there? What made you realize you sort of wanted to go for acting over music?
I mean, before even starting my studies there, I felt like I don't really know what I want to do. I don't have an option. Let's just go for it. Let's just try this. I mean, it's better than doing nothing. And I started, and I didn't have the motivation. And I think I also really wanted to find my own expression and my own way, because of my upbringing, having both parents being musicians. It was like I didn't choose that path.
I see, yeah.
It was chosen for me. And I think that's why I felt like I wanted to just stop and make choices that were my choices.
Yeah.
You know, and acting had always been somewhat of a dream, and I felt like I really want to try this for real. So I tried it, and I got in, and it was incredible years.
Yeah. Oh, amazing.
And it eventually, I circled back,
Yeah,
to
exactly.
the music.
I love that. Like, was the idea that you were going to be sort of in the arts always a thing, or did you have other interests outside of the arts that you were thinking about maybe going to school for?
I mean, I love sports, but I never considered that being like a career. So, yeah, arts. It's. I never had an alternative, I think. I mean, I do really appreciate like working with my hands and like crafting. And I sometimes help a friend of mine who's I don't know what it's called in English. In Swedish, it's called arborist. It's pretty much like a lumberjack or something.
I think it's arborist.
Yeah,
That's what my dad
arborist,
does.
yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, nice. Yeah.
Yeah.
So he cuts down trees, basically.
Yeah.
And I
Yes, what
sometimes
your dad
help
does.
him with that.
Really
Nice.
interesting.
Cool.
Yeah, I grew up doing that with him. Like he would do side jobs and stuff, and I'd go and help him
wow.
with that. So, yeah,
Oh, very
that's
cool.
cool.
That's
Very
cool.
cool.
And that's it's such a good compliment to sitting in the studio working inside of your head
Yeah.
all the time. You need to change the focus
Exactly.
at some
Absolutely.
point. Just get out and
Absolutely.
cut off some branches.
Prune the trees.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So maybe I would have chosen something like that, but no, arts, music, and acting. It's been like the only alternative, I think.
Wow.
I love that. It seems like it creates such like a dedication when you
Yeah.
sort of grow up in that mindset.
There's so much more passion there, I feel like.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's like you almost just have to make it work. And if it doesn't work, well, it looks like you're barely eating then. And it's all good because you're still doing what you want to do.
Yeah.
I love that.
Get a piano instead of a dining table.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
That kind of thing.
So speaking of acting, were you acting throughout like high school and elementary school, or was that sort of something that just sort of came upon you when you realized you weren't really into the Royal College of Music? Was that something that was always there with music?
Yeah, it was always there. I mean, I've always had that kind of like showman, I don't know what to call it, the clown of the class kind of thing. Always trying to entertain. I've always entertained, and that's been like my role in school. And actually, during high school, I started to work as an actor as well. Or even earlier, I was doing parts at the Royal Opera. When I was a boy, I was a soprano. So I had parts at the Royal Opera as a singer.
Very nice.
And
That's crazy.
later on, I worked at the Royal Dramatic Theatre here in Stockholm as well, as both a singer and an actor. And that was at the same time that I was studying. So, yeah, school was not the priority always.
Yeah.
But yeah, I made it work. And I was I was doing what I loved, and I knew that was my priority.
Yeah.
I love that. So as you mentioned before, you've had quite a bit of success with voice acting over traditional acting. Do you enjoy one over the other, or do you sort of do the voice acting because you you're working with microphones all the time anyways, so it's maybe more in your element at this point.
I really enjoy both, and that's like it goes in periods as well. I right now it's hard because of COVID to do anything on a stage. But I think when starting to composing and getting more into the studio kind of thing, and that was starting to take off, producing music, writing music, and I found out that this is really fun. This is something that I'm actually good at, and I think it's kind of easy.
Yeah.
And I love doing it, so I just kept doing that, and that left less time to run on auditions and stuff like that. But I was doing a play right after I was done at Kalle Flygare Theatre School, where I studied acting for 2 years. Okay. We had a director who directed our like graduation. I don't know what you call it, like slutproduktion, graduation production.
Oh, okay.
And then he was doing a play outside of the school, and he asked me if I wanted to be in that as well. And that's where I met a lot of voice actors, and an actor named Sharon Dial, who's also a fantastic singer. She was doing Winnie the Pooh. She was directing Winnie the Pooh. And she was like, "Do you want to try it?" I guess she heard something in my voice that she believed in, and she asked if I wanted to try that. So that was actually my first voice acting job. I was doing all the voices for Winnie the Pooh.
Wow.
And then I just kept doing it because they asked me if I wanted to come back.
You kept asking. That's amazing. So with the voice acting, do you generally do the sort of Swedish dub, or are you the main? You know what I'm trying to ask?
Like English?
Yeah. I mean, in Sweden, there's more like the dub side of things. Like in Germany and France and other parts of Europe, at least, I know they dub pretty much everything.
Mm-hmm.
And we don't really do that in Sweden because we watch the English original and then we have subtitles.
Yeah. Okay.
But in Germany and other parts of Europe, it's more common to actually watch the movies in like their language.
Yeah.
So, like, I understand it, they have actors who always do certain actors. So if Brad Pitt is in a movie, they have the German Brad Pitt, and he voice acts on all of his movies. But here in Sweden, it's more like, we translate it and we dub it, but that's mainly for like a younger audience.
Mm-hmm.
That's why it's been extra fun to work on, like this last thing, the Arcane
I was gonna ask
thing
about
for
it.
Netflix. It's been amazing, and Netflix is actually starting to translate more of their content.
Okay.
So I'm actually also involved in The Witcher. Doing a couple of voices there, and you get closer to the story when it's that kind of narrative.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Wow.
So but it's more the dub side of things.
So with the voice acting, because of COVID, have you been doing it from home and then sending it in, or do you actually go into a studio?
No, I go to a studio.
Okay.
Oh, okay. Oh, you don't do it from your studio.
No.
Interesting. Oh, amazing.
There are a couple of studios here in Stockholm that focus on voice acting.
Oh,
so that's where I go.
Amazing. Yeah, so you were the voice of Victor in the new League of Legends film Arcane. And when I learned that, I haven't watched it. I'm not a big fan of League of Legends. But I know a lot of people that are. So when I read that on your Instagram, I was like, this is crazy. Like, are you serious?
Yeah.
So that's very cool. So let's get into all your aliases, because you have a lot of them. So you have like over 10.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What sort of led you to release music sort of scattered around instead of one project? Was that an idea Epidemic Sound came up with, or was it sort of your doing?
It was sort of I mean, you could say it's a bit of both, but I have an output that's pretty. I mean, I do make a lot of different kind of music.
Yeah.
And I mean, I'm a piano player. That's my base, and that's pretty much always where I start. But I also play a bit of, string instruments. I play the guitar. I play the bass. I play a lot of other stuff, and I really enjoy making orchestral music, and I also make electronic music, and it's kind of hard to fit all of that under one alias.
Yeah.
So that's why, pretty much, to have
Amazing.
consistency and more of a coherency under each of the artist profiles. That's why I split it up.
So when you're making music, do you go in with the mindset of like, okay, today I'm making music for Silver Maple? Or do you kind of just make a bunch of music and then kind of afterwards look at what you have and decide where you're going to place it?
That depends. I mean, nowadays it's usually like I have an order to go under Silver Maple. So that's where my head is when starting to compose. But it can be the other way around as well. I just make a lot of music and then I fit it under the proper artist profile after that. But usually it's more of a targeted kind of approach to things.
Yeah. I would love to know sort of... Oh, he was going...
Sorry.
I would love to know your... what you think of each project, because the way I was listening last night, I was like, okay, so I think right now LUCHS is like solo piano stuff, Silver Maple is sort of more chamber orchestra kind of at this point, and then like They Dream by Day is like post-rock almost and sort of more percussive stuff. Is that how you sort of see it, or do you have sort of different ideas for them?
That's pretty much the way I categorize it. LUCHS is like, that's...
I've been pronouncing it wrong this whole time. LUCHS, sorry.
LUCHS. Yeah, what did you say?
I've been saying LUCHS.
LUCHS. Oh, yeah, I haven't reacted to that. You can think about the Latin word for light.
Oh.
LUCHS. Okay. Maybe you pronounce that LUCHS.
Maybe.
LUX. Anyway.
Yeah, I think I would pronounce that LUCHS.
Yeah.
But sorry for cutting
LUCHS.
you off. Sorry.
It's a German word.
Oh,
okay.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah.
Wow.
But yeah, LUCHS is that's like the heart project. That's where the most personal stuff goes.
Okay.
Like Solskur, like Horizon Stars. My own releases, they usually go under LUCHS.
Oh, okay.
And then I have Mimieux, which is my French Horcrux, and that's solo piano stuff exclusively. And I mean, yeah, They Dream by Day, absolutely. That's more like post rock, like guitar based, music. So there are genres under the different artist profiles, but LUCHS is where I would say put my heart.
Yeah, I think you can really tell. I mean, even just sort of with the branding, you have an Instagram page for it. You have all the stuff for it. Yeah. So that makes a lot of sense.
Sorry to go off track here. How many different languages do you speak? Like, do you speak French?
A bit.
A bit?
I studied French in school, and I have a close friend who's from France, and I've been hanging out a lot with him.
Okay.
And we studied together at Califlygare, and I've been visiting him a lot in France. So,
Very cool.
I wouldn't say I speak French, but I understand quite a lot of French.
Yeah.
I'm always so jealous of people in European countries, since English is so prominent everywhere. They know their language and then also English most of the time. And
For us,
we're
it's
over
just like
here,
we
it's
just know English.
Just English.
I wish I knew French, because my family, like, that's their first language is French on my dad's side, but I don't know French, unfortunately.
Yeah. I know like 10 words of it, and that's it from elementary school.
Yeah.
Oh, amazing.
Yeah.
I love it. So it's mostly just Swedish and English for you, and maybe a little bit of French?
Yeah. And my dad speaks German fluently because I have relatives in Germany. His sister, my dad's sister, lives in Germany.
But you don't know
But
German?
I don't speak German. No, I don't.
Amazing. I wanted to ask how you actually came up with the different alias names. Like, some of them are so sick, like Half Giant is amazing. Daydream by Day is amazing. Silver Maple is awesome. LUCHS is amazing. And I'm like, I can barely come up with song names. How are you doing all this?
I mean, no, that's hard. I mean, coming up with like good song names, that's super hard.
Yeah,
I think
it is very
But I mean, LUCHS is that was kind of it took quite a while to actually like decide on that. And like Mimieux is it's also a pretty personal connection. I was dating a girl named Mimieux at the time.
Oh.
So that's why Mimieux. Lu is actually the Swedish word for lynx. Or LUCHS. Lu. And have you seen Inglourious Bastards?
Yeah.
I think her name is Yvette Mimieux.
Interesting.
The girl who owns the cinema.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's also, and she is a composer as well.
Oh, okay.
Oh, wow.
The actor. Yeah. So there's a lot of like connections in that way. And LUCHS is here in Sweden we have different landscapes, and all of the landscapes have flowers and like landscape animals.
Oh, okay.
And my grandfather and my grandmother comes from Hälsingland up north.
Okay.
And that's where we have a little cottage, I guess you could say, a summer house, where I've spent all of my summers. And landscape animal for Hälsingland is lodjur, which is lynx.
Wow.
So that's like, I've been moving around a lot in Stockholm, and haven't spent that many years in one place, but the summer house has always been there. So Hälsingland represents like continuity, and it's a safe place.
Yeah.
So that's one of the reasons for LUCHS. And there is also a Swedish play called In the Hour of the Lynx that I really love. And there is a monologue from there that I used when I get into Kallflygare. And it's also that's a text I've been returning to in different like auditions and stuff like that. So that's also a connection to the lynx or the LUCHS.
I love that. I'm so glad that there's actually connections to all these, and they're not just sort of like not random, but like random. I love that there's actual meaning behind all these.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely.
I love that so
Yeah,
much.
definitely. I also remember when I was trying to decide on a name, I was watching a play. I was watching In the Hour of the Lynx here at the Royal Dramatic Theatre in Stockholm. And it was a very like scaled down production, just the text and the actors on stage, nothing more happening. It was just one chair basically on stage. And so very like toned down. And at the end, they use music, and that was the only music in the entire play, and that was Nils Fram's Them.
Oh, yeah, I love that.
That's my favorite song.
yeah. And that was also like he is still like a role model in many ways. And I did listen to him a lot when writing the first pieces for LUCHS.
Oh, really?
It makes
So
a
that
lot
was
of
like-
sense. Yeah.
Yeah, and I saw that as some kind of confirmation, I guess. When I remember sitting down there and that song comes on, and I had been thinking about LUCHS for a while, and
Yeah.
I was watching the hour of the Lynx,
Wow.
and then that song came on. So
It was
that was like the confirmation.
Yeah. That's
okay,
beautiful.
I'm going with LUCHS. Yeah.
Wow.
I love that.
I love that story too. That's
Just so much meaning there.
yeah, it has more meaning than any of my stuff.
Yeah.
I love it. There was a few years there where I feel like in all your projects you didn't really come out with much music. Maybe in between 2018 and 2020 or so, or maybe even 2016, 2020. What was the reasons for that? Were you just trying to hone in on your sound, trying to figure out what each alias is for and all that, or was there other stuff going on?
There was other stuff going on, and I was actually in a depression during that time. So I didn't have the motivation to do anything, basically. I mean, I've had some success at that point, and I started to actually make money, like real money. And I didn't really have to do anything. It just, I made money out of streaming, basically.
Yeah.
And that made me question my motives. And you know, when you're sitting there, you don't have to work, then you start to question, why do you do the things you do?
Yeah.
What is your like driving force? What is your motivation behind writing music, behind doing anything? It's not money.
Yeah.
So that actually, I guess you could think that would put you in a good place. I
You'd
started to
assume,
make
yeah.
money on the things that I love doing, but I hadn't planned on getting there so quickly.
Yeah.
And that, I mean, I got to the mountaintop, and all I could see was another mountaintop.
Yeah.
There was nothing there. It was
Yeah.
just empty. And that put me in a existential crisis, I guess,
Oh, wow.
Oh, wow.
which put me in a depression.
Yeah.
So, and that's also when I started to work on Solskur.
Oh, okay.
So
makes
I
a lot of
went
sense.
into the shadows and worked on that. So that was
Yeah.
like my therapy.
Yeah, I'm glad you got out of that.
Yeah, I am too.
Yeah.
And it's an interesting conversation because I relate to that a lot. Maybe not to the exact level as you do, but you know, as artists, you know, start becoming successful and stuff, you're right. It's like you're trying to figure out the driving force on continuing. And when money stops being part of the equation, you really have to figure that out. And I think another thing that hinders a lot of artists is it coming too soon, like the success and stuff. Not saying that it did for you, and not saying that it did for me either, like necessarily, but it kind of feels like it sometimes. Like maybe I should have like marinated a bit more in, you know, not blowing up. Not that either of us have blown up. You know what I'm trying to say.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I think it's a very interesting conversation to have, because it's debilitating sometimes. You know, sometimes you wake up some whole weeks or months and you're like, what's the point in doing anything?
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm very glad that you sort of got through that, got out of that, and the album that came out of the other side is, you know, amazing. It's fantastic.
Yeah.
Thank you.
But wow, yeah. I lost my train of thought.
Yeah. But it's very, I mean, I'm thankful now for that time because it made me ask these questions for real and forced me to really formulate my own motivations and my driving force. So yeah, there's always something good coming out of everything, even if it's even if it sucks to have to go through it. But I'm thankful for it now.
Absolutely. I love that. And we're thankful for it too. Like
Yes.
I'm so excited for this new EP that you're coming out with too. Like,
Yeah.
oh man, the first single has just been great, and I'm assuming by the time this comes out, the whole EP will be out.
Yeah.
So we are sort of speaking on it, you know, in jagged form, but yeah. So I wanted to ask sort of who were some of the influences you had coming up as well, like musically. And actually I want to get into acting and film and everything after too. But musically, you already mentioned Niels Fram. Is there anybody else who's kind of on the forefront of your inspiration?
Yeah, I mean, Olaf Arnalds is also someone I've been listening a lot to. And I really love the period, like the romantic period, like the national romantic period, and composers like Wilhelm Pettersson Berger here in Sweden, and Sibelius in Finland. These kind of composers are like leading stars as well. I've been listening so much to them. And also Stenhammar, a Swedish composer from that like era. And I mean, Philip Glass, Arvo Pärt.
These all make so much sense. Now that you're saying them, I'm like, okay, yeah.
And a wild card is the last couple of years. I mean, yesterday I got my like Spotify Wrapped. Summing up the year, and for the last 3 years in a row, I've had one artist that's been on my top 5. And that's actually Louis Cole.
Oh, cool.
I love what he is doing, and it's so far away from what I am doing. But I've been listening a lot to Louis Cole as well.
Love that.
Very cool.
Yeah, I think it's so important, sort of gaining inspiration from other genres and other places.
Absolutely.
It really grows you as an artist, I think. And even as a listener, it doesn't even have to always be about you as an artist, but just like, exploring
different sounds.
Yeah, different sounds, and Louis Cole and his genres, and I think that's so cool. Wow.
And also, don't just hang out with musicians.
Yeah.
100%.
I was having lunch with a friend today, who's he works with CGI,
Oh, cool.
and we were talking about that. Like, we both have a longing to be part of like a context and a group, because this is you know that as well. It's so much time spent in loneliness in the studio. I don't like that.
Absolutely.
I don't want that, but I can't get out of it, because I can't get around it, because I also know that I've been trying to write music with others, and that's so hard.
It is so hard. I agree with that 100%.
Yeah, it's super hard. You really need to find a perfect fit for it to work. So in my experience, it's easier to make music alone. I make music for a living. I need to be alone a lot. But that's not what I want to be. So we both have like this vision of creating a space where different creators can meet. You know, there's studios and there are people working visually with like CGI or like that kind of stuff. So you can get your head out of your own like space.
Yeah.
And get new perspectives on things.
Yeah.
It's so interesting. This is a really common theme that comes up with the people that we talk to.
Yeah.
Everybody just wants a space to go to where they can be surrounded by like-minded people.
Yeah.
And for some reason nobody's doing it. I mean, I understand it's super hard to do.
Yeah.
The logistics around it are a lot. But yeah, like Michael Ash Smith, who we talked to, who runs a magazine. He's also a photographer. He's talked about this a lot, and Kyle McAvoy, who runs Sonderhaus, the label.
He's kind of trying to create that space.
Yeah, and he's done it a little bit. More than anybody else that I've spoken to. But I think it's such a cool idea, and it's something that I would love to do too in the future. Like here in Toronto, I feel like the scene is so sparse, you know, it's everybody's so far away from each other, and it's just hard to link up with people. And not a lot of people make, you know, solo piano music or ambient music. A lot of it's hip hop. But even still, you know, getting in a room with somebody who does that type of music would be so cool and stuff, and it's just something to explore. I really need to start looking into other people.
yeah. And that's what you're doing with this podcast.
Yeah.
Exactly. That's what I'm hoping to do.
Yeah, it's such a good initiative.
Absolutely.
It's just unfortunate that everyone's so far away.
Yeah,
and
like,
that it's during COVID. Like if we could, we would fly out, or we would
fly you out,
in,
or whatever. I wish that
time.
was a more tangible thing. Absolutely, next time. I would love to do that. I think that would be so cool.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
But I want to also get into film as an actor. I want to know what sort of movies and films you're into, because it's something I've been getting into more and more over the past few years. But yeah, are there any films, even if they inspire you musically, not just for acting and stuff, like that really come to your mind, that stick in your head? Or
I have a couple of like favorites. I remember my time. I've studied film studies as well, and theater history, and there you were pretty much forced to watch a lot of movies that you otherwise wouldn't have watched. And I mean, all the classics like Brazil and what is it called? I'll get back to that.
Yeah,
but one film that stuck with me was In the Name of the Father.
Okay.
And that's a movie that takes place in Ireland.
Oh, that's so cool.
But all the classics like Brazil and Citizen Kane and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And like art house films like Sedmi Kraski, Daisies, by Vera Chytilova. I would never have watched that movie if someone didn't tell me to watch it. And that, I think it's important to do that because, I mean, it might not be easily chewed, so to speak, but it widens your perspectives.
Yeah.
And you realize that this is also a way to create stuff and to make movies.
Yeah.
And that's on the same theme as trying to listen to different kind of music, engage with different kind of creators in different fields. One movie that stuck with me is In the Name of the Father. It's directed by Jim Sheridan.
Okay.
And the screenplay is by Terry George. And it's Daniel Day-Lewis.
Oh, okay.
And it's I mean, the way he's engaging with the story and the text, it's I don't think I've ever seen such dedicated acting. And you can say there's a lot to say about Daniel Day-Lewis and his approach to acting, and it's a name that always comes up when talking about actors. But I think people might have the wrong, perception of him, or perception of him.
Yeah.
I read an interview where he was talking about his approach to acting and, you know, all this, you never get out of character, you know, that kind of stuff that, you know, it's what it is. But the one of his actors who'd worked with him on several projects at one point had the opportunity to talk to him when he was Daniel Day-Lewis and not like this character, that people were carrying around because, you know, his character couldn't walk or something like that. And he asked him, why, Daniel, why do you do this the way that you do this? It must be so exhausting.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And his answer was like, I don't think I'm a good enough actor to do it any other way.
Oh wow,
that's so interesting.
That was such a humbling, you know, approach.
Yeah, because
it's so raw of him to say.
Yeah, it's easy to look at it as like this elitist kind of approach to acting, but when hearing him say that, you realize that it comes from the other side of the spectrum, basically.
Yeah.
It's like insecurity.
It's actually
exactly.
Yeah, exactly. It's funny. Me and Chantal were actually having a conversation kind of about this the other day when we went out for dinner, and how for actors how mentally depleting it must be to stay in character all the time. And I guess it's a great opportunity to bring this up to you because neither of us are actors. Neither of us know actors. So how, like, being in character, like, how is it? Let me find the words for this. How is it to sort of come in and out of character and then to become Patrik again? Like, is it easy? Is it more glorified than it actually is, or?
I mean, that if you ask someone else, they have another answer, but I think it can be actually pretty hard. I've been working on both plays and I've been working with movies. And I remember working on a play called Welcome to Reality, and we had like warm-ups before the rehearsals where we did like improvisation and stuff that wasn't connected to the play at all. And I had such a hard time doing that because I was in another place, you know, in my head. And suddenly I was going to play some doctor coming home to this sick patient, you know, in this kind of slapstick almost setting. It was really hard. So I think it can be pretty hard. And then working with movies, that's an entirely different kind of approach because I played the lead in a movie that came out on cinemas here, and I think in the US as well. And the approach there is that you come to set and then you just grind the same scene for an entire day.
Yeah.
And after working an entire day on one scene, you have like maybe 2 minutes of film in the finished product. So in a way that's easier, I think, because you just keep on going at it until you stop thinking.
Yeah, you're getting so deep into that headspace that you're no longer even like really putting effort into it almost. Like it just comes naturally.
Auto drive.
Yeah. And I think that's a desirable position to be in, like total presence through total absence in a way.
Yeah.
Stop looking at yourself from the outside. Stop looking at the scene from the outside. Stop acting, basically, and start reacting.
Oh, yeah, I've heard that before.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's interesting.
Yeah. Just being present. And that's easier, I think, in movies. because in plays you only have one shot. You're doing it from start to finish, and that's it. That's also the magic of theater, I think.
Yeah, we've only been to a couple theater shows, and every time we do, I'm like,
It's
how
beautiful.
do they do this?
Yeah.
Because I'm like, this. My mind's always blown. We saw Mary Poppins with your nephew and niece, or maybe just your nephew.
No, Juliet was there. I think.
Julia was there, yeah. And I was like,
It was
this is
so
amazing.
cool. Like, I feel like especially you went in with the mindset of like, okay, whatever, like it's Mary Poppins. And then we got there and they started singing and acting, and it was just,
I was blown away.
it was beautiful.
Yeah.
I wish I was sort of introduced to this stuff at a younger age.
Yeah.
Maybe at a younger age I wouldn't have cared, to be honest, because I was that kid. But it's really fascinating, and we need to go more. I guess that was right before COVID hit, so all the things got sort of shut down. But
Speaking of, though, how many theater plays do you do a year? Like, besides COVID, of course.
like typically,
Yeah.
It depends. Now it's been a couple of years since I did anything, acting on stage. I've been playing music live a lot more,
Oh, okay.
actually. And I just want to touch on, like, it's the same, like live theater and live music. We were talking about that, me and my friend, during lunch. That the magic of live, basically, no matter what kind of artistic expression, it's something else. But because the way that you make like music today, you can just try until you get it right, and then you can edit it until you get it just right. I mean, you don't have to learn anything
Yeah.
Okay,
in its entirety anymore. You don't have to know, you don't necessarily, I would say, have to know your entire song even.
Yeah.
Yeah,
You can just do it in sections and then forget about it.
absolutely. Yeah, that happens to me all the time.
It does.
Yeah.
You'll
yeah.
look back at a
that's
song
the
and be
thing.
like, how did I play that?
yeah. And I've been there a lot as well. You know, I wrote this song, but I can't play it. If you ask me to play it, I'm sorry. I need to go back and rehearse this because
Yeah, give
I
me
don't
a couple
have it
hours.
in me.
Oh, that's so
Yeah.
interesting. Yeah, with the live sort of versions of everything, you are forced to perfect everything.
Yeah.
I guess. And I
Yeah.
think that's really interesting. With hours
You
and
need to
hours
put
and
the
hours of
time
practice.
into. Yeah, exactly. And there was someone that talked about that. You know, the way we consume music or anything today is like we listen to Spotify or whatever. We hit play and we get this perfectly balanced version of something.
Yeah.
And that's not what music is.
Yeah.
Music is not perfect. Music is something on its way to perfection. I mean, because that polished end product is not really, it's not honest.
Yeah.
And that's why the live scene is so much more magical, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah, and so important.
Because, it's because it's honest and it's not perfect.
Yeah.
And that's the soul of music or theater or any kind of artistic expression, I think.
That's such a beautiful way of putting it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Clip that.
Yeah. And it really makes sense. Like, I feel that when obviously it's just online and some of it can still be edited, but we watch a lot of live videos. We have been lately because of COVID with no concerts and stuff. And it makes you feel so much like there's something there that you're just like, wow, I feel this so much more than when I listen to it just on Spotify or like the final version of it.
Even though the thought that just came into my head, even those technically are edited. It's like an in between of
That's what
actual
I said,
live, which is a really interesting thought that I just hadn't had before. I guess all these artists that we're watching live videos of, I mean, even yours, right? Like you could take 60 takes if you want.
If you want, yeah. Sometimes you see the cuts in the live videos and you can tell, but some of them it's live and it's beautiful.
Yeah. There's so much more nerve.
Yeah.
And like presence. And I love that.
Yeah, that's something I've never gotten into, sort of getting into music late. I've only ever played anything live once. I played a talent show when I was 13, but other than that, and so I don't have it. Like, it makes me so nervous, anything live. But I guess that's the point of it, right? Is, get
to kind of expose you. Expose your talent. And
It's another interesting conversation, I think. The way that we, listen to music and stuff, has, I think, caused me to have the mindset of when I'm done a project, I just put it to the side now and like I'm over it already. Is that the same as you for the most part? Like when you're done an EP or an album, you're not you're just over it, you're on to the next thing already, or?
Yeah, it depends. I mean, when working on like musical orders, that's the way I do it.
Oh, okay.
But I mean, like Solskur or these kind of like big projects, I keep them with me, but I really enjoy more and more that kind of approach, just, the craftsmanship of making music, like going to work. I really enjoy working. And it doesn't have to be this emotional roller coaster every day. You can go to the studio and you can put in the hours there and you can do your work as a producer. And then you can go home and then not think about it and do other stuff and hang out with your friends. Not have your head constantly in the music. That's because it's draining.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. And I mean, just like a carpenter goes to work or whatever, he goes to work, does his work as a craftsman, and then that's that.
Yeah, absolutely.
And that's the same thing with acting, I think.
Oh, okay. Interesting.
The older you get and the more experienced you get, the more you realize that it's not sustainable if you're doing theater to go on stage night after night after night and expose yourself and force yourself into the honest emotion. It's not sustainable. I mean, if you're doing a movie, you can do that, I think, because it's so much closer. You need to be in that like more subtle kind of expression. You need to be honest. But I've been doing theater and I've been doing it that way night after night, and I mean, at a certain age, that's okay, I guess.
Yeah.
But I mean, you start to realize that it's really not sustainable.
Wow.
That's the same thing with making music, I think. You need also to be able to trust your craft.
Absolutely.
And trust your experience and not have to cry your way through every production every day because that's the only way to make good and honest music. It's not.
Yeah. I agree with that 100%. And I love that. I think
sometimes it is, but yeah.
Yeah. I think having your studio outside of home probably helps with that too, being able to separate,
work life
with home life. Like for me, my studio's always been in the house.
Yeah.
And I've always dabbled with the idea of getting a studio outside of the house, but it's never happened.
It's expensive.
Yeah.
But I'm very jealous of people like you who do have that. But I think a lot of the time I would just never end up going to the studio.
Yeah.
Honestly. I think that's one of the other issues for me. But amazing.
But I think that it has helped me a lot to separate work from private life.
Yeah, that's good.
And
Makes a lot of sense.
during the time when I was on my low point mentally, I didn't have a studio to go to. I was sitting at home. I was not good.
Oh,
Yeah.
wow.
It was not good. I was sleeping through the days,
Oh.
trying to, get up and then sit down at the piano, trying to do something, which it didn't work out. And then I got a studio, and I wasn't there for 3 months. It's just
That's what would happen with me, 100%.
yeah. But now I'm very happy to have a job to go to.
Yeah, it makes a lot of sense. I
Yeah,
love the idea of it.
yeah.
Mm. But to slowly wrap it up, I just want to get into as well, what are some of your other pastimes other than music and acting? Do you do anything else that inspires you, generally, musically and through acting or anything?
I mean, I do. I've always been into sports. I've always, I've been playing soccer and actually football, American football as well.
Oh, wow.
And all kinds of like team sports. And right now I don't engage in any team sport, but I do run a lot. And that's the best way, I think, to just clear your head.
Absolutely. Exercise in general. I agree with that.
Exercise in general, yeah.
Mhm.
And I have a dog. Takes up a lot of time.
Yeah,
Yeah.
true. True.
And I love to just get out into nature
Hmm.
by myself or with my dog, Bosse.
Yeah.
That's your dog's name, Bosa?
Bosse, yeah.
Bosa. I like that.
Yeah.
Amazing.
It's like an old man's name here in Sweden.
Oh,
Bosse.
that's cute.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, we just got a dog semi-recently, about a year ago.
About a year, yeah. But he's 11 years old.
He's 11 years old, yeah. So he's an
Okay.
old guy. But he's
What
also
kind of
very
dog?
small.
He's a Morkie, like a
Okay.
Maltese Yorkshire mix. So he's very tiny. He's like a cat.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. What kind of dog is yours?
A Rhodesian Ridgeback.
Rhodesian
So he's
Ridgeback.
it's an African lion dog.
Oh,
Oh,
wow.
wow.
So he's
Cool.
kind of big.
Yeah.
He's
Very
here right now.
cool.
He's been sleeping through this entire
Aw.
podcast.
Yeah. So is he, except for when he was sneezing a storm up
Yeah.
earlier.
Yeah.
Oh.
So yeah, but getting out into nature is the best way, I think, to collect your thoughts
Yeah.
and to
absolutely
get
agree.
perspective.
Yeah. It's so reconnecting going
Yeah.
in nature.
Yeah.
Like, and I feel like so many artists say it too.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know what it is.
Yeah, I don't know either. It's just
It's magic. Magic in
Yeah,
the forests.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
But I also think that it's so I think it's so nice to like be in nature because it is not trying.
Yeah.
You know,
Oh yeah.
it just is. Because when hanging out with human beings, there's a lot of acting and there's a lot of posing and stuff like that. Social like games.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But when
Absolutely.
getting into nature, it's just totally honest.
Yeah.
Oh, I love
Doesn't
that.
try.
And like your
Just
only
is.
obligation is just to be there. Whereas when you're
Yeah.
with people, it's like you have these obligations to be social and
Yeah,
have these
converse
Yeah.
norms and stuff. But in nature, it's
Yeah.
just, you just have to be there.
Yeah, exactly.
It doesn't expect anything from you.
Doesn't
Exactly.
expect anything from me.
Yeah.
That's amazing. I've
Yeah.
never. Yeah. Well, I like that a lot.
Yeah.
That's an inspiring thought.
Yeah.
With that being said, have we gone through everything? Have we missed anything?
I think so,
Anything
yeah.
important?
No, I think we got through everything.
Yeah.
Hmm?
How about on your end? Do we hit everything?
Is there anything you wanted to add?
think so. No, I think I will probably listen to this and come up with 10 more subjects.
Absolutely.
We'll probably have you on again.
I would
Don't
love
worry.
to have you on again. Yeah,
Yeah.
I think that's something that we want to start doing soon is just re-inviting people
Yes.
on so that we can elaborate on what we've spoken about and even just
Yeah.
concrete into our heads, who you are and who we are and stuff, you know.
Yeah.
But with that being said, seriously, thank you so much for coming on to this.
Yeah. It was amazing.
Thank you.
Yeah, I was so excited from the minute you said that you'd be down for it, like, because I just wasn't expecting it for whatever reason. But yeah, thank you, seriously.
Thank you very much for having me.
And thank you, listeners.
And
go support.
Yep. Go listen to Patrik's music.
Yeah.
You know, put him on your playlists. Listen to him all the time. Is your stuff on Bandcamp?
Some of it.
Okay. And listeners, go buy his stuff on Bandcamp because it helps a lot as well. Gets you onto his mailing list and everything. I love it. Bandcamp's the best. And yeah, hope everybody enjoyed this, and we will talk to you later.